morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 95 of the Sofa Manager Scottish Football Podcast. Slightly abridged from our last episode, but I'm sure our regulars will be all too familiar with our previous work already, and we can just drive straight in. So, one of the reasons that we have returned is there's some very exciting football this summer taking place in Germany. So on this week's show, we are going to give you a guide to all things Euro 2024 and discuss the lucky member of the team that actually gets to go. We've obviously heard of Sofa Manager, and our media accreditations have come through somewhat. So, some things that I have found out today is that in Germany, did you know that you can visit Silverstone? You can see the Millennium Falcon flying.
Right.
And you can undertake some relaxation activities at a car factory.
Ah, nice.
All of which we'll get to later on. Anyway, joining myself, Paul Meinges, in the German sort of fashion, we have my co-host, Johannes Brun.
Ah, guten Tag.
Ah, good to see you, John. Ja.
Ja, wie geht's?
Okay, I didn't do German at school. I have no idea.
No.
I should do better with that.
Ça va mal.
But I see you're already fashioned with...
My brother gave me this for Christmas, so I was like, dust it off.
Very cool.
Get ready.
No Scotland, no party, but in Germany.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Fine, very good.
And it still fits, so it's...
Yes, winning indeed. So, let's get straight on with things, shall we?
Absolutely.
Okay, so first of all, I think it's no surprise, given our current attire, this is the only thing vaguely Euro 2024 I could find in terms of an Italy top, so, you know.
Yeah, it's not at all kind of getting it up the English as well.
Well, let's go with that. That's a good point, John. Didn't think of that.
Yep.
Ahead of the game. I'm also anti-JD Sports, but we'll get into that another time. So John is obviously the person lucky enough to be going to Germany, and also very lucky enough to be going to see some of the matches.
I am indeed, yes.
Do you want to disclose right now what matches that you're able to go to?
Yeah, so I'll be jetting off to Dusseldorf on the 13th for a couple of games, as you mentioned. The first one up is Germany versus Scotland. I have one ticket just for me, so I'll be heading down myself. But I'm sure I'll catch up with the guys when I'm down there. A couple of friends, a couple of family members who'll be in a fan park while I'm in the Allianz Arena. Tough.
Unbelievable, by the way. Like,
that's incredible. Like,
once in a lifetime.
It feels surreal. Genuinely feels surreal that this is going to be happening. I'm going to have to be there at least 3 hours before the game starts just to make sure I get through the door. You know, there's no issues. Probably not going to drink a whole lot during the day because I just want to be in the right kind of frame of mind to go at it, and just enjoy it, just lap it all in. I genuinely cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. Like, absolutely bouncing. Like,
very, very jealous indeed. I am unfortunately homeward bound due to professional commitments, so pupils of Scotland, don't worry, unless I mysteriously disappear.
You suddenly disappear for the last 16.
Yes, exactly. If that happens, you maybe know where I am, but you know,
I think most of the country will just empty. Well, if that happens,
I know.
So that's the first game I'll be going to. Second game up is in Dusseldorf. It's a neutral game. We're going to Slovakia against Ukraine. Kind of looking forward to it. I don't know how I feel about this one. This one's a bit weird. I think we can maybe come on to it in a little bit. And the third game we'll be going to is in Stuttgart for the Scotland versus Hungary game, which I've got 2 tickets for as well. So our co-host, if he decides to join us again, is coming with us. Darren will be with me for the 2 games.
Unbelievable. Interesting. I think there are all new stadiums for you. So Allianz Arena, Stuttgart. What's the stadium in Stuttgart called? Like
I can't remember.
I think it's maybe being renamed because it's sponsors.
Yep.
I feel like that's the one that looks like Hampden quite a lot. So hopefully it'll be quite familiar.
Well, the Dusseldorf one.
Not Dusseldorf. Oh, I thought you said Stuttgart.
Well, Stuttgart looks like, I believe it like Hampden. It's what Hampden should have looked like. I think it's probably the best way to describe it.
Okay.
That'll be what the Mercedes-Benz Arena, if it's still called that.
Well, they might change it for.
And then is it Fortuna Park? I think maybe.
That sounds about right.
Dusseldorf.
That sounds about
for
right.
the time. There is a resale happening again in May, so there's a very, very, very small chance of getting tickets for the game in Cologne as well. Which we'll be there in the city anyway, so that's
exactly
that'll be good fun.
Fingers crossed so far, because it's gone, quite well for you in terms of things. Talk us through the process a wee bit, because we've become very familiar probably with the likes of loyalty points and things like that.
Yes, well, we have anyway.
We have. The fact that there's a Twitter account like dedicated to these things to explicitly.
Oh, there's a few. There's the one that does like the kind of Scotland coefficient, which is amazing. What a Twitter page that is. By
a lot of good information out there.
If you want to endorse us, it's also good. But those guys are brilliant. Really informative for that kind of stuff. And there's also like the kind of Scotland Supporters Club kind of official page. It's really good. And then now being in the kind of Tartan Army, the Scotland Supporters Club, we get the kind of regular emails telling you the kind of tier points as well, as to sort of how far up and down the food chain you really are in terms of home and away fixtures.
Yeah, one day we'll manage to an away fixture. I actually think the Gibraltar one won't be an issue in terms of getting tickets for, and that could be a good way to get your foot on the ladder, but also
it's like
Portugal and
term time as well, I think.
Yes, it doesn't work out very well. So obviously mainly thing with Euro 2024 was the ballot process. How many tickets did you get out of the initial ballot process?
So the initial one I got nothing. I applied for one game every day for the entire group stages.
Yes.
So it was like €30, €60, by €90 and €150 or something like that was the kind of 4 tiers. So I went €60, chance my arm, see what we get. Nothing. Not a chance. It seems to be the way it went.
I think that was the case for many of us out there who went for loads of different things every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it didn't pan out, although some people got multiple
in
one
insane.
go.
Yeah, I mean, it was just pure luck at that stage as to what you got. But then there was a second ballot, which is the one I was kind of successful in for the Slovakia game and also the Scotland-Hungary game as well. That was again pure luck. Only pure luck or not pure luck. I decided to just go for top tier tickets, and just like if you're going to go, you're going to go.
That was the strategy, isn't it?
That seemed to work. I don't regret it at the moment. Maybe in 6 months' time when I'm trying to buy a house or something like that, it might be a bit of a problem. That was the only way you felt like you could have half a chance of getting a ticket, was just go for it, just go for top tier and see what happens.
And I do think as well, like I didn't hear half as many people talking about the second ballot as I did the first ballot.
That's true. That was kind of kept quiet. There wasn't as much publicity regarding the second ballot. And then in terms of getting the Germany Scotland ticket, that was a resale, which hardly anybody really kind of knew about as far as I was aware. That was a case of like logging on at like 10 o'clock our time and just refreshing the screen for you got like a kind of half hour window, constantly refreshing, and there was tickets popping up for both the Germany game and the Switzerland game as well. And like just jumping between the two, trying to add them to your basket, and then pure luck again, top tier ticket for the Germany game, got it. And there was a moment you're kind of hovering over it, going, "Do I really want to pay that for this?"
You do,
but you got to. You just got to. Like,
I mean, there's I think 70,000 people are going to be there.
Yeah, and you can deduct at least 20,000 off of that for hospitality and sponsors.
So. Why? And tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people are going to be watching that on television, especially us here eagerly. So we'll be scanning closely.
I will.
If we can spot you in the crowd. Also, be sure to follow our social media channels at Sofa Manager on Instagram. Still
there.
At Sofa Manager on Twitter. At Sofa Manager Podcast on Twitter, one of the two.
I have no idea if that's still running, but
John will be all over.
I'll be all over Instagram. That's
all over the social media.
I'm too old for TikTok.
Well, we'll get there. We might actually put previews of this on TikTok. Who knows? But it's going to be once in a lifetime. So check out his stories, because we can't be there, so we will live vicariously through him.
Yep.
But in terms of location for the tournament, this has to be one of the best ones to go to. I mean, you've experienced football in Germany before.
Yeah, a couple of times. You couldn't have asked for a better country in terms of the infrastructure. It's probably one of the best in Europe, maybe the world. Culturally as well, you're fairly well aligned, I would suppose, between sort of what is Scottish, British culture and German culture a little bit. I think that works out quite well. You couldn't ask for it. The weather should be good without being roasting hot. That kind of thing.
Crossed, so.
Yes, can't wait to
Germany.
Buzzing.
Germany. I forgot to say that in the intro. Didn't get the cringe glands going. Whatever. So yeah, very cool. So talk us through some of the tips and tricks of things. Where should we go first in terms of we can go places to stay or ways to travel or things to do?
I mean, I think they all kind of tie in together. So for myself, I'll be staying in Duisburg. which is sort of 10-15 minutes away from Dusseldorf. So I'm flying into Dusseldorf. You get the train up to Duisburg really easy. It's brand new. I've been to Duisburg before. I was there just back in October there. It is a
well-travelled gentleman.
Yeah, how can you describe Duisburg without being negative? It's like Dundee but much cleaner. There's literally nothing there in terms of like tourism and stuff like that. It's just a post-industrial city that they're beginning to kind of redevelop a little bit.
So it's a place to live.
It's a place to go. You know, you're kind of outside one of the main cities without having to pay that price at particularly this point in time, which is ideal. You know, so that works out quite well. Travel-wise, across the whole of Germany, basically, we're going to have to go all the way down to Munich, which is in the south. Stuttgart's kind of halfway, I suppose. You know, it's a direct train line that runs the whole way down there, so there's no changes. You can get basically the night service back up the road when I'm doing that twice, which is, I'm not looking forward to that part.
A few sleeper trains.
There's a few sleeper trains in there.
John could end up in, Bremen and then the entire north at some point.
I could easily wake up. I think it stops in like Rostock or Hamburg or something like that.
Just don't end up in because they go to like Belgium and like Amsterdam and stuff sometimes. So that could be interesting.
You end up in literally another country. That's the way you want.
On a non-EU passport, which I'm sure they'd be thrilled about.
I apply for that as well. So if you haven't done that, that's probably worth. It's a travel tip, I suppose. Please do pay attention to the date of expiry on your passport. It has to be within 6 months it has to be valid for 6 months from the day you travel. So basically it would have to be valid until October, maybe November of this year. So if you haven't done that, please get that done, because you're going to get denied travel, and that's not what you want at that time.
No, getting back as well.
And if you're looking to get your photo ID done, Timpson's is the place to go, as I tried one of the booths and I got rejected. So go to a place where they actually do like an individual with a camera.
You're not just doing it on your phone these days.
You can do, but it's even more likely to get rejected than it is from a kind of professional.
See, I did mine
photographer.
I did mine for my phone because we were going to the States in the summer, and I did it in about February time, and I feel like no one's in peak physical condition in February.
Oh, I've never been in peak physical condition, so I can't possibly comment.
No, go back and look at earlier episodes.
Oh well, I don't know about that.
But
I had more hair.
This could be an interesting time capture. We'll have one of those, those like you take one image from each episode and we can track the progress.
Progressively worse.
But yeah, I looked like physically exhausted. Like my eyes are like drooping. This is a horrendous photo. As passport photos like
we're supposed to
always are.
It's basically like your resting bitch face.
That's just a million miles away. Yeah, so that wasn't great, but that's definitely a good travel tip. I was on the internet looking at some of the trains today. Was it the ICE 3s up to 200 miles an hour?
I'm getting that first class.
Oh, you do like your luxuries,
I don't
don't
know,
you?
actually. I've been saving up for this, so it's first class going down to Munich and back of the way.
Up to 200 miles an hour in some stretches, apparently.
Look forward to it.
10,000 horsepower,
Wow.
It's like 10 Bugattis in one vehicle. So not very exciting. I'm sure for all the train spotters out there, John also has you covered for that. We could have a dual football sort of Francis Bourgeois is his name, the famous train spotter.
Yes, it is, yes.
So John could be the next big thing in Germany. So Duisburg, quite central, easy to get around, good train access and things like that. You can imagine, there's going to be a lot of travelling between games. Let's look at things to do around Germany.
Fair, okay, yeah.
So shall I tell you some of the things that I've seen?
Yes, go for it. Yeah.
So whilst we're talking about trains, this is a place that we both know, I think.
Yeah.
In is it Frankfurt or is it Hamburg?
Well, if it's the same place I'm thinking of, it'll be Hamburg.
Okay, it's in Hamburg.
Yeah. Well, if it's the same place.
Yeah, it'll definitely be the same place. I mean, Miniature Wunderland.
I love it.
Now, the first place I ever came across the people that ran Miniature Wunderland was a James May documentary. Don't know if you remember it.
Oh, believe me.
It was the one about toys.
Yes, yeah.
It used to make really big.
Is this one when they did like the Hornby train?
Yes.
It went from, I can't remember, it was like an old closed down line. Yep.
And then they recreated it and they brought in these two Germans to sort of race against it as well. And they showed their actual, it's like a model railway visitor centre in Hamburg. Now that sounds
boring.
Sounds uninteresting, but you're wrong, because along with these scale model railways, there's a functional airport, for example.
Yes, with the Millennium Falcon.
The Millennium Falcon
Aye.
you can see flying there. They have recently installed the Monaco Grand Prix as well. And there's lots of funny, if you look, they've got all these wee dioramas with lots of funny, humorous, it's very German, I think, in terms of the sense of humour.
Yeah, well, we lost me because there's obviously...
Well, apparently there's a lot of funny things that you can see. So, approximate cost of this, when I was looking online today,
right.
£10.
Really? Is that all?
£10 is all. Do you know what its opening hours are? Particularly on a Thursday and a Friday.
Yeah, I think you can go really quite late.
You can.
Like really, really late.
7:30 in the morning until 1:30 the following morning. If that makes sense.
Right, so you could basically go get bevied the whole time and then go
now-
and walk around and look at all the night. Because I think it changes sort of as the day goes by.
Absolutely.
So I think it's on because it's miniature Wonderland, so it's on basically 24 hours, so it goes sort of morning, noon and night on a continuous basis. I think it's like once every hour or something like that.
Something like that. I don't know.
It rotates around, so you get to see it all as it would look at night time, daytime. It's amazing. Like, it looks brilliant.
So yes, whilst your love of the fast German trains, along with other things, that is my first suggestion.
Aye, it's certainly on the list. I mean, a day trip to Hamburg is quite high up there. I mean, there's a lot to see. Like history there, if you're in your kind of World War II history, as I am.
Oh, right, okay.
There's a lot of quite interesting things. I mean,
Oh dear.
Hamburg was absolutely decimated during the war, so that's certainly worth having a look at.
I don't know if you remember the old QI episode where it's like, we must not talk about the war. It was one of like the buzzer. Well, yeah, there you go. So far we've got train spotting, we have war facts, and we have some football tournament that you'll be Instagram posting about and Twittering and podcasting, hopefully.
Yeah, that's certainly on the list for sure. One that would probably be more appealing to yourself than it would be for me is when we're down in Stuttgart.
Yep.
Is both the Mercedes-Benz and Porsche museums are in Stuttgart, because obviously that's where they're manufactured.
Of course.
So if there's time to kind of go and do these kind of things, I think we're really looking to do that. There's obviously valuable beer drinking time in between, so it's going to be one of these kind of things that's time dependent. And
we have had an international warning that German beer is stronger.
Allegedly.
Yes. So fans going out have been pre-warned. I don't think anyone will heed that warning.
Nah.
We don't really I remember, I don't think I've ever really drank a German beer before.
Ooh, you never had Paulaner?
I don't think I ever have.
Or Paulaner, how it's pronounced.
See, I always remember, back in the heyday of sports in the 90s, you used to have all these massive... I remember Vorsteiner was the one that sponsored all the racing cars and things.
Yeah, can you still get that in Tesco's?
Do you?
Yeah, Vorsteiner beer. Yep,
I maybe get that in for the occasion. Yeah, we expect some German beer tasting to go on as well. Porsche, I would definitely love to see as a museum. I think that looks really cool.
It looks amazing.
On the same line as that, because my German geography is not good at all. So I knew you were going to be in Munich, and in Munich there is the Bavarian Motorwerks, which is of course where BMW is.
Yes.
Now the museum itself doesn't look that interesting. We've all seen Mini Coopers and stuff before, and they have some interesting race cars, but not to the level of maybe Porsche and Mercedes.
Yeah.
But what they do have, John, is yoga classes that take place sporadically throughout the day. So I was like, if you need a bit of a break, the BMW yoga classes.
Yeah, that's right on my street, that is.
We did do yoga. Were you not in that health and wellbeing thing with me in high school where we both ended up doing yoga because we didn't pick anything else?
I've only ever done yoga once, and it was in the confines of my own home.
And
never ever again. That was a lockdown mistake, that.
I think we did kickboxing together. Actually,
we did do kickboxing together.
Sorry, we should have amped up the kickboxing. We did
more
the
manly.
Yes, we did the kickboxing. I don't remember the yoga. So there is that to do. The last thing that I had on my list, which is near Stuttgart-ish, I believe, and near Strasbourg as well.
Right. Okay.
It's a place called Europa Park.
Oh, I've heard of this, but I don't know why.
This is basically like the Epcot of Germany, so to speak.
Right, okay.
It's like a theme park where you can see lots of things from around the world.
Okay.
So this is where Silverstone comes in. They have like a car ride called the Silverstone Grand Prix.
Ooh.
Now, I think they couldn't think of anything else British, so they just kind of badge that on.
Right, so there's no Knockhill, or
there's no Knock. No, they never.
Brands Hatch.
never got to the more clubby things. But funny enough, there's a ride called Crazy Taxi, John.
Oh, I love Crazy Taxi.
Do you like Crazy Taxi?
We've discovered this.
I forgot to say at the start that John's actually our current sofa manager, Street Fighter champion, furiously, Pac-Man champion, as well.
Crazy Taxi champion.
No one played you Crazy Taxi.
Outrun 2, runner-up.
Oh, I was about to say. that was my domain, very much. So, of the arcade games, which we will be trying more on this channel once we get the technical setup sorted. So, yes, along with Crazy Taxi, they also have... There's like a bobsleigh ride that's not a roller coaster, so it's not on rails, but it's on like literally this big sort of U-shaped sort of tunnel that you go around. So it looks like one of the most amazing track listings. I believe the ticket prices were like 50 quid for a day or something like that, was it? It wasn't crazy bad.
It's not horrendous for what it sounds like. It should be worthwhile, because there is going to be days in between the actual games itself. It's either a case of like lying in bed recovering from the absolutely most horrendous hangovers,
depending on the results. That's a very real possibility,
because the beer is so strong, allegedly. Or it's just trying to kind of find things to kind of do in between. I mean, another thing we're kind of looking at potentially doing is the German Football Museum, which is in Dortmund.
Right.
So if you can find a day, I think one of the days there's definitely no games. In fact, England are playing, so they'll all be down there dealing with that, which is down in Cologne. So Dortmund should be fairly quiet that day.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about maybe doing that. That's around about kind of, I think it's like €18 or something like that to get in.
Everything does seem to be quite reasonably priced.
It's not too bad. I mean, it looks decent as well. I mean, there's a fair amount of kind of content in there. Obviously, they'll have everything from the World Cup wins. I'm sure there'll be stuff about kind of West Germany, East Germany at the time, which will be quite interesting. So that's definitely on the to-do list, and it's quite easy to get to from Duisburg, where we're staying.
Yeah.
So it's only like 15-20 minutes in the train.
It's not something you tend to do that often either. Like, we're obviously not out and about doing loads of stadiums, and and I remember the San Siro was actually one of the better ones added, because they had all the shirts from the different like Champions League games that were played there, which was very cool. I've still never done. I don't think I've ever done the Scotland one at Hampden before.
I've never done the Hampden part tour. Nah, it's never appealed. There's nothing to see.
It's kind of on our doorstep, so but it's one of these things. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. And Dortmund is big centre of football there, isn't it?
Well, as well. I mean, you can. I don't know if they'll actually do stadium tours as well. That's maybe worth having a look at. But even just kind of like stand outside it and just kind of admire the kind of architecture of it would be very impressive.
Iduna Park or something.
Westfalen.
Oh well, yes.
If you want the old-fashioned name.
There you go.
So that's certainly something I was working on looking at doing. So there is loads and loads to do. I mean, I'm kind of looking through my list just now. I mean, in Munich, one of the kind of places they're telling certainly Scotland fans to try and kind of congregate is the Marienplatz, which is also where every time Bayern Munich win a trophy, they go to the Marienplatz, and that's where they basically have their kind of celebration and stuff like that.
Right. So
really looking forward to that kind of thing. We'll get into the beer shortly, I'm sure. But in terms of other things as well, I mean, I'm trying to remember the name of it. There's the world's longest bar, which is in Dusseldorf.
Nice.
So there's 5 different breweries that sort of reside within that. So there's Schumacher,
very German name,
Uriage, Kurzer, Fuschen and Schlüssel.
Right.
Is there 5 if my pronunciations aren't that bad.
That sounds pretty good to me, to be fair. Sounds pretty good.
Looking forward to that. Obviously tasting different beers and stuff like that, different kind of... That's the culture, that's exactly what we're there for.
You look very happy when you're describing all these things.
And the only other thing as well, I mean, if you're a darts fan as well, right? So there is actually like the European Tour of Darts.
Right.
It's happening in Germany during the Euros.
Sublime piece of marketing.
That will be chaos.
Yes.
I know, I think he's going anyway, my friend from down south. I believe he's going to it.
Right.
So if he's not already kicked out the country by then, he definitely will be afterwards.
That is a good shout. I had not thought. Again, they should do more like simultaneously like that. Make a big festival of sports.
I mean, if you're like even like the regional leagues, football wise in Germany,
yes,
like surely you push your season like ahead, or you do like your pre-season in like the middle of June, early July, just to get a wee bit extra crowds, a wee bit extra money. Because I bet there'll be people like me desperate to go to all these kind of wee grounds and actually watch something.
Maybe. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing about tournament football, is it always exists in that traditional summer.
This is it. I mean, it is to window. Be the sole sort of show in town, but you know, you can have a wee bit of an undercard, surely. Like,
it's not a bad idea, and you do love your lower league. You were at something midweek this week as well, weren't you?
I was through at Civil Service Strollers against Gretna.
I had no idea, by the way. It was a wonderful picture, and I was like, I have no idea what this is or where it is or who. I think there were 10 people maybe in that picture.
At most, I mean, you're lucky if there was less than 100 at the game, for sure. Like, but it was good fun, and they had a pin badge for me, so it's...
Love your pin.
Can't complain.
Is the pin badge culture as big in Germany as it is here?
I really hope so. I think it's quite big all over the world.
Big,
It's
yeah.
I mean, it appeals to the anoraks, but it's global. You can get them for pretty much every club.
Some good pins.
So there's good pins to pad,
Yeah.
particularly for the kind of actual international matches.
Yep.
To get them for that's special. Like,
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
better than a half and half scarf.
do you know what? they're actually in this
There
cupboard
we
here.
go. Outed.
Do you know what? For your birthday, I was actually half tempted to give you the Scotland-England one.
The rugby one was
Well, so there's we have a bunch of stories that we basically need to tell about that whole saga.
yes. Yep.
So we will at some point probably have a podcast reviewing the sort of road to
The
Germany,
road to Germany, yeah.
so to speak. But yeah, I got half and half scarves for the bigger game. There's a great Scotland-Spain one that I got, which is like legit. But because I was rushed for the Scotland-England game and I didn't have a proper ticket, essentially, I just bought the first thing I saw and it was a Scotland-England rugby scarf, which I hate with a burning passion. And it is cheap and nasty. And I can't even bring myself to throw it out because it hurts so much.
I mean, there will be a warehouse somewhere in Glasgow that is rammed full of those scarves. They just never sold, obviously.
Absolute scam artist. But it's funny how in a year we've transitioned to, I think I'd been to one Scotland game in my life.
Yeah.
It was a friendly against Belgium. Still a big fan of Michy Batshuayi, by the way, even after he kicked a Turkish man in the chest. But so we are now diehard,
this is us.
Tartan Armyists.
We're now locked in. This is it. Like,
We're on the yearly cycle.
Yeah, this is it.
Of the tickets, but no, it's going to be great. I'm sure there's going to be lots of different people going over there as well. And if anyone is going over there, let us know what your plans are, what sort of things you're doing, where you're staying compared to John and things like that. What's different about it. But, fingers crossed it's a fantastic tournament. And fingers crossed, that we get off to a good start and we get something from this.
Oh, fingers crossed, Dave. This is it. Even just getting out of the group, it's more difficult not to sort of qualify out the group stage than it is to qualify. So,
well, I know. But we'll cover all this in our future preview of Euro 2024.
Indeed, when we find out what the actual injury list looks like.
Yes, I saw Lewis Ferguson this week. I was like, oh no,
he's out for sure. But we'll not think about that just now. That's depressing.
What else do you have on your list there, John?
Well, we may as well get to the beers. That's the really important stuff. So what I've kind of done basically is I've kind of worked it from basically where I'm going to be sort of during the tournament.
Yep.
So in effect, in Germany, every city or every kind of small region has a distinct beer or a brewery that they associate themselves to, which I never knew until I actually went out to Duisburg and Essen,
right,
who have a competing kind of brewery culture, which is a bit weird.
It's like a local passion, I suppose, isn't it?
It's brilliant. I mean, obviously, you've got to have your kind of quirks in life, but for Germans, it's beer. Absolutely, it's unbelievable. So if you have VR in kind of Duisburg, the kind of beer of choice is a König Pilsner.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a light-ish beer. It's kind of like drinking Stella, that kind of colour. I am not a beer connoisseur. I'm just going to put that out there to begin with. A lot of this is kind of based on just colour rather than taste or fermenting or carbonation or anything like that. I don't understand any of it.
But is a true beer connoisseur actually someone that can sit
I either drink Tennent's, and I've very recently started drinking Guinness, and that is about the breadth of my drinking knowledge.
That was a nice birthday treat whilst everyone got the rounds in.
What's the most expensive thing in the menu? Guinness. I'll have that. König, I've had it before. It's really good. It's a good beer. In Munich, as we kind of mentioned, Polliner is probably the most famous, particularly if you're coming from the UK, because you can buy it in supermarkets in the kind of bottles. Augustiner is probably the other kind of lager you can go for. They obviously drink in Steins, so it's sort of the proper massive bar. Funnily enough, if you throw a Stein glass at a policeman, it's considered assault with a deadly weapon. Right. So if you are kicking off in a public square, don't throw Steins.
What are you implying there, John? What are you implying?
Pick up a deck chair instead.
Very handy.
Garden furniture is not an assault with a deadly weapon, allegedly.
That's probably one of the best things to take from this podcast in terms of...
Weirdly enough, the only other kind of thing I really kind of know about Munich is that was where the beer hall putsch of 1923 was, which led to Hitler being arrested,
Okay.
put in jail, and during that prison sentence, that's when he wrote Mein Kampf.
Right.
So there's another historical
The more
fact.
you know.
The more you know.
The more you know.
So he got charged for treason, right?
Right.
That's pretty serious.
Oh,
If you
wait.
get charged for treason in the UK, you can get beheaded, I think.
Well,
I think that's still law.
is that still a legit
I
thing?
think that maybe still be the law. So he got tried for treason. The court was very pro-Nazi. He was given a 5-year sentence
Nice.
for treason. You know how long he actually served that sentence for?
Year and a half.
8 months.
8 months.
8 months. So much for the justice system.
Then surely if you're done for treason, you're done for treason of the... Well, it wouldn't have been the Nazi Party at the time, would
Well,
it?
it was a coup d'etat against the Weimar Republic.
Oh, right, okay.
So here you go. Every day's a school day, as they say.
Yes. I'm sure the Germans will love to hear those stories
I mean,
again.
it's fascinating for various reasons. I mean, you've got to learn your history to understand it and appreciate what's happened. Particularly being over there, like, they're very conscious of it. Like, they don't talk about it as much as we probably do. We kind of glorify it.
Yeah.
They know it from a kind of conscious point of view, and it's actually quite eye opening going over there and sort of understanding it from their point of view. It's brilliant. If you do have the time, I would go over and take a day or two just to go and see some of these places. If you're kind of down, so if you're in Berlin, for example, go and see the Berlin Wall, go and see Checkpoint Charlie, go to the Mayfield, go to the Olympic Stadium and actually have a look round. It's amazing. Like, there's like Jesse Owens Avenue and stuff like that. It's great. Again, Munich, Bavaria is kind of funny. In my opinion, it kind of avoided a lot of the kind of war stuff, which is interesting. If you're in the kind of Rhineland, all of that got absolutely demolished during the war, all of it.
Right.
And you can see the regeneration. Like Stuttgart, looking at it, I expected it to be like a kind of picturesque, kind of like German city with all the kind of old-fashioned sort of Gothic architecture. It looks all modern because it was probably all obliterated
And rebuilt.
and rebuilt. So that's fascinating. It's certainly worth kind of going through.
No.
I'm now going off on a tangent. You can tell what I really do enjoy it.
The beers, John.
Deal with the beers.
Talk about the beers,
The next one to kind of look at is actually Cologne or Cologne.
Uh-huh.
A completely different beer culture to literally anywhere else I've sort of read into.
It's like, like how I'm trying to think of like such micro communities of like, if like different cities were liking like different music and there was different, it's kind of Manchester being like an indie rock centre instead, but for beer or something like that.
This is it. It's almost like, if you're using that kind of comparison, like Manchester likes indie music only, Liverpool likes like punk music only or something like that.
Yeah, the Beatles.
It's bizarre. But in Cologne, rather than drink it out of Steins or pint glasses, they drink it out of 200 milliliter glasses, right?
Right.
It's bizarre. So it's actually, the beer's called Kolsch or Kolsch.
All right, okay. That sounds familiar.
So it's Kolsch beer. That's the style of beer.
Yeah.
Reisendorf, I think, is probably one of the kind of more famous brands again. If you're kind of curious as to what this actually looks like, Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown is how I found out about it. I remember watching the episode years and years ago and then discovering this is one of the places I'm going to be going, look back at it. It's amazing. You go to the pub and rather than just a normal beer mat, right? So they put the wee schooner glass on it and then they mark your beer mat. And you just keep going.
Oh, and they just charge you.
Just continually mark it up. And then when you're finished, you put the beer mat on top of the glass and then that's you done.
Right.
And then they come over your tab and then they just count up how many drinks you've had.
All right.
I don't know if they can give you an additional beer mat if you run out of space on the original beer mat. But you never know. Challenge accepted.
I feel like that's a dangerous strategy because if you drink yourself under the table.
Well, this is it. Because they come in, again, you're just kind of watching the episode really, they kind of pour it and it's like in a kind of glass holder. And the guy just like turns it and it's like a tap, literally on and off. Just fills it.
How does the tap work, John? Sorry?
On and off.
Oh, very good. That's one for the visual listeners. I don't know how we're going to do audio these days. We'll figure that out.
For those of an audio listening, turn your hand from left to right.
With your right elbow sort of mid-air. There's a good description.
It just looks brilliant. Again, completely different.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that kind of stuff. It's culture. You don't get it very often.
Well, like in the last 15 minutes, we've had more culture than we've ever had in this podcast.
Indeed.
We've had mention of Mein Kampf and Anthony Bourdain in separate sentences.
Yeah,
so
that's all right.
It can't happen very often.
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to.
No, let's probably not. Let's probably not.
In terms of Stuttgart, I just kind of, but we're back to kind of like what we would consider normal pint glasses.
Yes.
Right kind of coloured beer.
Oh, how boring.
I know. I kind of wondered that as well. I was like, oh, this,
Everyone else is doing something special. You guys need to up your game.
it's Stuttgarter Hofbrau is the kind of brew you're looking for.
Okay.
And then Dusseldorf, again, ever so slightly different. It's called Altbier or Altbier. The only way I can describe the colour of this is Belhaven Best.
Or like a deep sort of
Kind of like a really kind of
brownie,
mahogany colour that you would paint your deck with.
Ooh.
I'm not looking forward to that one, I must admit. I will be looking for something else of the kind of European export kind, as in.
Do you remember
like
there was
Amstel.
There was a story of a guy years ago who used to sell like his pee by the side of the road as like cider, and people believed it was a legitimate thing, and they all got ill.
Right.
And they prosecuted this guy, but you were like
normal.
They looked at the colour and thought, yeah, probably cider. That gives me those sort of vibes. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know what the cider culture is, if there is one. I just say they do drink it. I don't know if they
don't really drink cider anymore, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll be curious to see if that's something. I'm going to need a break at some stage. Like wine's a big deal.
What are you going to absorb some of this booze with? Do you think? What is the
Currywurst?
Currywurst?
Currywurst is amazing.
Right.
I'm not even kidding. Currywurst. Yeah, it's not like it's curry sausage, obviously. But you get it. Like, it's just normal. You get it everywhere. I mean, I remember eating like one of the best currywurst I ever had was in a train station. That chips and then extra curry sauce on top of it.
Your sausage.
It's absolutely magic. It's like a kind of balty paste sauce. Yeah, I'm going back there. It was class.
I do always love the sort of German Christmas markets when you get the sort of bratwurst and things like that.
Yeah,
Big
pretzels.
fan of that. Like schnitzel and stuff as well is a nice change.
Yep. So it's even like bratwurst, and they put in like a kind of small roll, like a crusty roll.
Yeah.
Mustard, ketchup. It's class. Like
all the stuff.
really, really good. You get that at football. That's their kind of. That's their equivalent to a pie.
Yeah.
You get that in a beer rather than a Bovril.
You
can see who's like missing out here. Like,
see, that's the thing. It feels so much more exciting, but I don't know if they come over here and they're like, "Wow, Scotch
Bovril,
pie or a steak pie." Well, yeah, but Bovril's inherently quite interesting if you actually think about it. You know,
I feel to believe like if you're a German, you're going to Tynecastle, and Tynecastle's one of the funniest places I've been watching someone order a pie.
Yes.
The
vegetarian option is that story.
Literally go up and my mate Gary goes, what's your vegetarian option pie? Because that's what it says on the thing. But that'd be macaroni pie. Why not just say macaroni pie like pie. Everywhere else? Like, ridiculous. Yeah.
My thought was that they might change it week on week, but apparently they don't. I think it is just macaroni pie all the time.
It made sense. I couldn't think of any other vegetarian pie. Like,
not off the top of my head.
I don't think you can get like a cauliflower pie or.
You wouldn't want a cauliflower. Well, maybe some Edinburgh vegetarians would appreciate that.
Yeah, all those kind of West End weirdos. Sure, they'll love it.
They won't get this far in the podcast anyway.
No,
so
definitely not.
We're safe.
Even Gary will get this far. Can name check him and we can timestamp it, and he still won't know.
This is now just us having a chat together. There's no one. There's no one concerned about this.
Yeah. But I mean, food wise, it's good. It's quite similar, I suppose, to our cuisine in terms of it's your kind of your meats, so like beef and pork and stuff like that's a big deal. They love their mashed potato, so they are.
Yeah.
Even chips and mayonnaise is like a big deal. Like, it's amazing.
I feel like chips and mayo, like for French fries, is probably a better option. I can't imagine like chunky chips and mayo. That doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, fair. But I think that's maybe, I don't know if that's across the whole of Germany, but where we're going to be kind of northwest, you are kind of close to like the Netherlands and Belgium. So I guess it's an influence from them that's
more of that frites culture.
Frites culture, yep. So definitely a kind of potato-based culture, which again, that's good for me. So,
there you go.
They'll be rolling me back down the terminal gate. Like,
well, you'll have the rest of the summer to work it off, no doubt.
Ah, indeed. I'll need to lay in a cold dark room for a week before.
Won't be any danger there.
Yeah. But aye, that's kind of Germany in a nutshell for us, really. I mean, we'll be there from the 13th to the 27th, so we'll be there for the full group stages where I will be. I think mate Darren, he's coming out for a week, so we'll kind of take it from there. Fingers crossed, you just kind of meet people as you go, whether they're other Scots or if they're Europeans. So
I mean, it's the closest thing to like a football festival, that we really have in terms of people go to like, you know, the Scottish equivalent would maybe be Transmit or something like that.
Yeah, yep.
And it's a shared thing. Everyone's there for the same thing. And I said to you before, like, there's got to be some amazing market stalls with like some retro football shirts and retro football gear, and you know, even like more modern stuff as well. And you know, there'll be Scotland fans everywhere, especially to sort of where you're going and things like that. So yeah, once in a lifetime, the first international tournament you've ever been to,
ever likely to go to.
Oh no, you were in London for
the Euros, but
for Scotland, England, but you didn't get to go to the stadium.
Yeah, I didn't go to the game.
It was a pandemic thing, so there was only a very small amount that did.
Yeah, and that was kind of before you could rush gates and bribe stewards. And
you know what, that's exactly where I was going in terms of like, you know, rushing the gates. Yeah, hopefully all is well. Especially for that first game, you know, we've seen it in the past. So.
The nerves will begin, particularly when the domestic season ends, because we're kind of recording this during the domestic season. Once that properly finishes, all eyes are on the Euros.
Germany.
That's
well, in which case, in the coming weeks, you can expect, as we say, we'll have a wee Euro 2024 preview show. We'll also have a review of the Scotland campaign so far. We'll be reviewing the Falkirk FC season soon.
Yes.
As well, your team has radically turned around since we last did this podcast.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, like the last sort of season review we did years ago, it was probably one of the worst seasons. I think maybe the season we got relegated.
I think it was.
Yeah.
It did very well in the views, so sadly, I don't think the positivity does well. But we will.
Who's laughing now?
Well, there's your title already, and we'll have plenty more content all over your Scottish football and the Euros. But I think that about brings us to the end of the podcast. Do you think?
It does. We will bid you Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, good one.
Yes.
Auf Wiedersehen, pets. You know.
Yeah. Tschüss.
Arrivederci.